Welcome to Sidekicks with Heather Goodenkoff and Lola, where we chat with your favorite authors and their pets. And I'm so excited today. We have joining us Hank Phillippi Ryan, who is the USA Today bestselling author, an award-winning author, and the recently McCavity nominated author of The Murder List. Congratulations on that.
Thank
I'm
you.
so
Thank you.
and her upcoming thrillers coming out very soon called First to Lie. And this will be,
I just happen to have it.
yes, it's so good. I got an early peek at it, and it's just fabulous. And it's your 12th novel. So
Your kind words were so generous. I mean, I am such a fan of yours. And then to see that email come with the nice words about the First to Lie from you, I am so honored. Thank you.
it was my honor to be able to read it, and just can't recommend it enough. So,
Oh.
so I knew I had to contact you to see if maybe you had a pet, so we could chat on Sidekicks. And right now you don't have a pet, but we did get talking, and you have some visitors that come every year to your home. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Well, sure. It's my pride and joy, actually. We don't have a pet right now because my husband is deathly allergic to cats. And when we met, I did have a cat, my darling cat Lola, of all things,
Oh, well,
who lived till she was 20. And she didn't love anyone but me. She would not even deal with anyone but me until she met Jonathan, my husband-to-be, who was allergic to cats, and she couldn't love him more. She
oh,
latched onto him, and I think it was just perversion on her part. She was going to drive him crazy. But so we love Lola and miss her. But
sure.
so our visitors, as you were saying, we live in a big house in sort of a town right outside of Boston. And about 20 years ago, one spring afternoon, Jonathan and I heard something weird outside in the backyard by the pool. And you know, in the spring and in the winter, the pool is covered with a tarp. So it fills with water and it fills with snow and it melts and looks like a pond. And we looked outside, and outside, swimming in this pond, were two mallards, a male and a female mallard. And I have to tell you, Heather, I stood up and I just applauded. I was so excited. I was like a little kid looking at these ducks. And I thought, what do you feed ducks? What do you feed ducks? And we gave them wild bird food. And Heather, they have come back with their friends for 20 years now. It's kind of amazing. They almost always arrive on March 14th. I mean, I have photos of them dated March 14th. And it's so fascinating because how do they know? And now, forgive me for talking about the ducks. That's Flo and Eddie. And then there's not Flo and not Eddie. And then there's Evil Duck and Mangy Duck and No Neck Duck. And Orange Bill. So we know them. I mean, is that crazy? And we understand duck behavior now. You can tell I'm going crazy. We watch them
I love
way
that.
too much.
They chose you, which is even better. You know, lots of times we choose our pets, but they chose you, which is super cool.
I mean, that's just how I feel. You know, there's a moment in early spring when I look out on the water of the pool that's accumulated over the winter and has melted in the spring. And sometimes the wind is just right and I see ripples on the water and I say to Jonathan, oh, it's time for the ducks. You know, and it's just so, you know, integrated in nature. It really does make me feel virtuous and sort of respected and rewarded that nature has come to us exactly as you said.
Yeah. Oh, that's so amazing. And you know, what a great sign of spring and hope and, you know, life. And so that's got to be something to look forward to every year.
Well, we were so worried that the world was so out of kilter that, you know, would Flo and Eddie come?
Yeah.
And they did, and now they come to our back door if we don't come out and feed them. They waddle to our back door and then fly up against the door like, hey, come out here. So I think they've trained us to feed them. So talk about choosing pets. You know, they've chosen us. You're so right.
And okay, I love the names, but I have to ask, No Neck. How did No Neck get its her name?
No Neck has no white ring around his neck.
Okay.
So we could have called him No Ring, but it came out No Neck. I don't know.
That's great. And Mangy must not have looked so good on the day he showed up.
Exactly.
So much fun. So much fun. Well, you'll have to keep us posted, and maybe when spring comes around again, we can catch you when they return and get a little bit of video or something to
That's
follow.
a great idea. I'll take the laptop outside
Yeah,
and we can all go out and look at the ducks. It'll be great.
yeah, that'll be great. And we were also chatting a little bit, and I just love the story because I think, well, all readers are, but I'm a huge fan of libraries, and there's just something magical about libraries. And growing up, it was one of my favorite places to go. And you mentioned to me that you had a interesting mode of transportation to get to your library. Oh, share the story.
Well, I did. I live in Boston now, but I grew up in really rural Indiana.
Oh, okay.
So rural that you couldn't see another house from our house. And so my sister and I used to ride our ponies to the library. And we would, on Saturdays, and we'd fill up the saddlebags with books and then read up in the hayloft of the barn behind our house. And so we'd take turns going into the library while the other one held the two ponies. I mean, it really sounds funny now when you see me and see my life to imagine that. But reading up in the hayloft as a little girl, that's where I fell in love with mysteries. I read all of Nancy Drew, of course, as we all did, and Sherlock Holmes. I mean, every single short story and novella of Sherlock Holmes, and then Agatha Christie. I mean, I remember reading Murder on the Orient Express when maybe I was 12 or 13, and I thought, what? How did she do that? And it was the library that connected me with storytelling like that, that you could go to a library and just be in another world. And then up in the hayloft, was another world in itself.
Wow, that just sounds, well, it sounds like a children's book. So have you ever thought about writing a children's book and telling that story? I think that would be amazing, just how a young soon-to-be author finds her love of riding her pony to the library. I think
Oh, you should write it. It was a long time before I became an author after that. I didn't start writing till I was 55.
Oh, wow.
Which was 15 years ago. So I've been a television reporter for 43 years, which is crazy enough. But one day I just had a really good idea for a book. And I came home and I said to my husband, sweetheart, I'm going to write a mystery. I've got a great idea. And he said, honey, do you know how to write a book? And I said, how hard can it be? I've read a million of them. And I soon learned how hard it could be. But that turned out to be Prime Time, my first book that was published, my first book ever in any realm. It won the Agatha for Best First Novel, and that was the beginning of everything. Just that one pivotal day.
Yeah, that's amazing. And tell us a little bit about your newest that just released, right? Or just coming out, excuse me, The First to Lie. So tell us that story. Just give us a little sneak peek.
Well, The First to Lie comes out, you're right, August the 4th, got a starred review from Publishers Weekly, so it said it was stellar. But my Heather Gudenkaufler, that's even better. Thank you so much. But it's a fast-paced cat and mouse thriller. That's sort of the Hank DNA's cat and mouse thrillers about two women who are trying to get revenge as the result of a terrible betrayal in their childhoods. But if one succeeds in getting revenge, the other will fail. Or if this one succeeds, this one will fail. So who will be the victor and who do we root for? The story idea came from, as I said, I've been an investigative reporter for so many years, and I've wired myself with hidden cameras and gone undercover and in disguise. And I wondered, what if someone decided that being someone else could get them what they wanted? What if someone decided that their undercover identity was better for them than who they really were? And who would be the first to lie about it? And that's where the story came from. So I'm so excited about it. I never know the ending of my books when I start writing. So that when people say, wow, the end of The First to Lie, you really surprised me. I'm like, yeah, wasn't that a surprise? I surprise myself every time. So I did that in The First to Lie as well.
Yeah, and you bring us into the world of reporting in the book as well, and you really draw the reader into, that secrecy and the undercover kind of life that investigative reporters do. So that was really a treat to be able to get some insight into that as well.
Thank you. Well, it's kind of, it's a been there, done that kind of story,
Mhm.
but the high stakes and the high pressure, and the idea that you could really, if you take a little bit of a chance, and if you go someplace that you're not supposed to be undercover, that you could really change people's lives. That's a big motivation, but it's also, I have to say, it's very scary. In all these years, I've only gotten caught once. So we'll talk about that another time.
Yeah, oh, I can't wait to hear about that. We'll definitely have to have you back for that. So, yeah, well, thank you so much, Hank, for sharing the story of your mallards that come every year and your ponies, and sharing The First to Lie with us. I know readers are going to love it as much as I did. But thank you so much for being here today.
I loved it, Heather. Thank you. Congratulations on your wild success. And I love Sidekicks. And bye, Lolo.
She says bye.
See you next time.